And all right. Hey, everybody. We are back with a kick butt elevated lifestyle class today. I'm so excited. If it's your first time tuning in on this show, definitely love to talk about ways to impact our energy so we can impact our lives. And whether that's physical energy, emotional energy, spiritual, mental. And as we've spoken about for years, this is something that really, they all they overlap, right? And they just impact the different areas. And I'm so excited to be with Sherry today. And I met Sherry through a GoBundance, our women's mastermind for top level entrepreneurs, C-level executives. She is a butt kicker who has been in the industry for over, I guess, almost 2 decades, right? Or over 2 decades. She's been in the health and fitness industry and has tons of education to back it up. But it's so neat, and I'm excited to hear your story because I know that's something that became a personal focus of hers, really to transform her own health, became something that made a career out of, and a very successful career at that. And so works with a lot of, many of you listening, I know I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of salespeople, and I think about how we go all the time and the importance of this and our health. And sometimes that gets thrown on the back burner where we sacrifice ourselves, to serve everybody else, to do everything else, to accomplish whatever we need. But we can't forget that obviously when we're serving from an empty cup, we're not able to serve at the capacity where we could and how we were wired to. And so she uses a lot of natural, functional medicine strategies, motivation, accountability. She has an online gym, a lot of incredible programs. And I'm super excited to introduce you guys to her and get to learn a little bit more about what's available. And obviously at the end, I will let you guys know how you can connect, because this is the best time to really be focused on this. I think a lot of people wait till January 1st to start, or after the holidays. And if you can get into the right habits now, you can really develop something that's built to last, versus just like a fun and exciting, challenge. Really start transforming your life as soon as possible. So Sherry, thank you so much for taking time out to speak to our listeners and really help us as we go into this holiday season, because this is definitely a tough time for many. And there's that balance of like wanting to lose weight, wanting to feel more energy, wanting to be present with friends and family, but also wanting to indulge in like everything. So it is a fun little balance or tricky balance for most people during this time. So thank you for joining us.
Hey, Kathy, it's such a pleasure to be here. You've talked about so many key little points that I always cover, with my peeps. And I was like, yes, okay, I can't wait. I can't wait to touch on all those little pinpoints you talked about, especially the holidays, because so many people who reach out to me who are like, I want to do a program, but I'm thinking of starting it in January because the holidays are here and I want to indulge. And I'm like, well, then you're not serious, right? Because your health has to be a good priority in your life the majority of the time. And you need to understand how to manage your health when life gets in the way. And often I say that, listen, when you're speaking to a heroin addict and you tell them, okay, look, so you want balance? Okay. You can be healthy from Monday to Friday. You can go binge Saturday night, like just shoot up as much as you want, and you will have no addiction to heroin Monday morning. Like you will not suffer at all, right? And it's just not the truth. And the problem is people try to find balance between going to the local pizzeria and still, eating a salad the next day. And they're wondering why they're still suffering from depression or gut health or fatigue. And it's not a calories in, calories out scenario. We've been taught that for over 2 decades, where if I just go to the gym, I work out for an hour, I can afford to eat that pizza. But what we're learning more is about, vegetable oils and the preservatives and the chemicals and the gluten and the pesticides and all of these neurodisruptors, endocrine disruptors that are messing with our hormones that unfortunately keep us permanently addicted to these chemicalized foods. And that's why there's always a battle. So that's why a lot of women, right, they'll sign up for a program and they'll be good until the end of the program. And then they're like, okay, let's try and find balance between eating what I want and still being healthy. And unfortunately, the key to this is replacement. You need to find those foods. And actually, if you follow me on my podcast right now, Your Life is Non-Negotiable, I'm going through a 30-day do this, not that challenge where I'm teaching you, okay, look, here's this type of chip. It usually ends in some form of O's. You know, replace it with this. And I explained to you why that's a good idea, so that when you do hit the holidays, those are the products you buy to get through the holidays, right?
Yeah, you have the better options for sure.
Yeah.
And that, by the way, I love that you said that, because that was such a huge part in transforming my personal life in terms of health and eating habits. Because I remember not, just not being excited about eating healthy, because it just I felt like I was depriving myself of everything, and it just didn't taste good. And I love flavor, and I love, food. And I just remember there was a period, and it started probably about 12 years ago or so, in my mid-20s. When I hit my mid-20s, I remember starting to think about this, and I said, well, okay, what can I eat instead? And making healthier versions, and it started from making my own homemade burgers, which at that time were like turkey burgers, and I'd put like bell peppers and things in them and home make them and season them super yummy, to then black bean burgers, veg burgers. And I was just as satisfied, like French fries, like making homemade sweet potato fries, seasoning them, baking them. And they were incredible, and they're my favorite. And I prefer them over, regular fries. And, learning how to make awesome milkshakes and chocolate milkshakes, but everything in it is like serving your body, because the creaminess is from like avocado and banana, and then cacao and stuff in there. And really, I called it making healthy tasty. And I said, I am so great at finding okay, I love to eat this. How do I make a version of this where it's going to satiate, the flavor profile, but not sacrifice, my health and my energy. And I think it's so important, because I battled with that for years prior. And when I, little by little, I was really focused on that. I said, I really want to feel good, and starting to make, those adjustments. And that was transformational, because then it became a lifestyle, because it wasn't just okay, I'm depriving myself for now to lose weight and then go. It was, okay, how can I find things that are better for me? And then there were times where I was like, all right, I need to strap down and, do this. But it was a huge deal. But I'd love to get a little background before you dive into some of the stuff you go through. And in terms of your background, what launched you on this journey? Was there a time, a moment? I know that this was a personal thing for you at some point. If you could share a little bit about that, that'd be great.
Absolutely. So as a teenager, I was cute, got all the attention from the guys, and I got away with that. In my early 20s, I started to put on weight mysteriously, because I don't know, I didn't know KFC constantly just made you big and fat, right? So I had that for lunch pretty much every day until I woke up in a size 16. And I'm like, I don't think that works very well. And I remember distinctly going to a club, and the girlfriend I went with, the guys were just hovering over her like flies, right? And I was in the corner going, this chin is not working. I looked down and I realized I actually had another chin growing, and I was like, okay, I think I've got a problem. So I did start working out aesthetically for aesthetic reasons. But my real aha moment was when I went to go and visit my grandmother in the hospital, and we were besties growing up. She raised me a lot. We played a lot of games, and we were, she was a good soulmate. And so I would make it an effort to go and see her at least once a month, because we lived in 2 different provinces. And this one particular day, I went to go visit, and here she is lying in this bed. She had had a heart attack, and a stroke, and she was paralyzed from the left side down. And this guy that she was sharing this room with, she actually shared the room with 3 other people, started moaning and wailing. It was a horrendous sound that I'm going to save your listeners from. And I looked over at her and I said, Nana, I said, what's the matter with that guy? Is he okay? And she said, Sherry, he never stops. He's like that all day long. And it was in this moment, her eyes just pierced at me. Like they swelled up with tears, and I felt every emotion. I felt her frustration. I felt her sadness. I felt her anger. I felt her all of a sudden realizing that she was living in this jail. She was in jail because she couldn't move. So she couldn't move when she wanted to. She couldn't grab a magazine. She was vulnerable to all of the different nurses that are on staff. And she would say, oh, it's okay, Sherry. It's the good nurse tonight. You know, like, and I realized that she was stuck with whoever they put in that room with her. She was staring at a wall in the ceiling at 3:00 in the morning, abandoned because she couldn't move. Her family was gone. Her husband was in another hospital with Parkinson's, and he too was also in the jail cell of his body. And he lost his freedom bit by bit, his ability to drive, his ability to see, his ability to hold his bladder, right? So
Right.
I left that day, and I literally said to myself, I said, Sherry, I said, your health is non-negotiable, man. Like, it doesn't matter what you're doing or what's involved in your life. Your health has to have a certain amount of investment of time, money, and energy every single day. Because one day you could wake up at 65 and you are living in pain. You're dealing with mental disorders. You're on medications. You're lonely, depressed. You can't move. Like, what kind of shell do you want to live in as you age? And the more I learned and the more I geeked out on your endocrine system, like the messagings in your body, like what makes you want to do this or that, what makes you feel a certain way, right? I started to learn that we did have complete control over just what kind of state our body could be in as we aged. And if you left this body out in a field like a truck, over the months, over the years, it's going to rust, right? It's going to rust and it's going to deteriorate. It's not that the car is getting older. It's that it's just been left there to deteriorate. But if you maintain your residence, if you look after this beautiful body that you have, it has been there for you every step of the way. You were born in it. You graduated in it. You're about to give birth with it, right? And your body has served you your entire life. How have you been serving it back in return? And that's what I'm most passionate about, reminding people that, yeah, there's the hustle. Yes, there's the next deal. There's the next contract. There's all these amazing things. There's a thing with your kids. Most importantly, there is guilt. And guilt pulls you away from allowing yourself that half an hour to look after yourself every day. You're guilty that you're not with your kids. You're guilty that you're not visiting your mom in the retirement home. You're guilty because you should be at work, finishing some report or something. So we're like, my health, no problem. Let's just put this over here. Like, I'll get to it later.
It's so true. And by the way, this happened to me today. I'm like, I have so much to do. I'm leaving town tomorrow. I'm like, it's okay if I don't go work out or whatever. And I'm like, oh crap, I need to go do something. Like, I need to at least go for a run, even if I'm not going to drive to my class. But it's true. We get so caught up in life, and we allow our health really is, becomes something that it's like, it's okay not to take care of. And I remember I had a mentor, I don't remember when this was, probably around that time, 2007, 2008. We had spoken about things, and I said, I feel so low energy. Like, I feel all these things. And he was a business coach of mine, and business and life coach. And he said, what is it that makes you feel? He's like, how much sleep are you getting? What are you eating? What are you doing? And I was like, it hasn't been great. Like, I'm just, I work really late. I get up early. Then, we were talking about stuff, and he said, well, and I wrote about this in my book, when you turn something from like it would be nice. He's like, there's nice too. There's things. It sounds like right now your health, like it would be nice to work out. It would be nice to have time to do those things. It would be nice to cook. And he's like, but for you, anything that must happen or needs to happen, you get it done, right? Like, if this must happen for your business to run, you're going to get it done. Yes or no? I'm like, absolutely. He's like, okay, well then take it from like a nice to a need to, like this needs to happen in order for us to hit our quarterly goals or for us to whatever, because that's how I'm going to show up at the highest level. And that right there, that conversation really shifted where I was like, crap, I've so been neglecting myself. And when I connected it to, if I want to be the leader, and now if I want to be the mother, if I want to be, the partner that I want to be, well, this is a part of it, right? And I know for you, you've worked with a lot of different types of people. And I know that now, or I don't know how recent, but more and more you've been, working more with entrepreneurs and, business people. What drew you to that crowd?
Oh my gosh, I am an entrepreneur. Since I was 20 years old, I had my first business. It was a pet store, and I've evolved over time. But yeah, man, I live, eat, and breathe entrepreneurialism. And I'm also a mom. And I know what it's like to deal with, the passion that you have for building and creating and making something amazing happen. And at the same time, the love and affection that you have for your son or your daughter. And what I quickly realized is that these people need the most amount of help, because they got such a driving force over here and they have such a driving force over there. And so many times when you speak to high level people, they have so many accolades and they've accomplished so much, but they're 40, 50 pounds overweight, right? And the problem is that they just don't understand, the physiological responses to stress in the body. There is a fire brewing inside that they don't realize. And often it starts in the gut. And maybe they wake up and they're dealing with IBS and they go to the doctor and they say, yes, you have IBS, here's your meds, right? Or they wake up and they've got shingles and they're like, where is this coming from? And the doctor gives them meds. Or they're depressed, right? Because they're so overwhelmed and they're getting a lot of things accomplished in their business, but it's not fulfilling them. Right? There's so many different angles that happens. And I feel a very strong, passionate need, because you have a lot of gurus out there that I love to watch. But when they're like, it's the hustle and I'm awake until 2 a.m. in the morning and I don't care, I'm going to get it done. And I'm like, well, your brain cells are dying and you'll have Alzheimer's when you're 70. So like your sleep is paramount. Like your body is begging you to rest at night, and it'll show up in so many different signs. And so when you neglect your body at night, or you've gone out for a business meeting, you had that glass of wine because you had this social engagement, you go on to go to sleep, you wake up at 1 or 3 o'clock in the morning because the wine and the toxicity of the wine woke you up, and your liver is processing. So you're like, I'll get up and I'll start working. And you're working at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And then you push yourself through the day and you're sedentary at your desk for the rest of the day. And you're feeling not stressed, but anytime your brain is processing multiple things, your body is stressed. You don't have to be going through a divorce or a bankruptcy or death in the family to be stressed. Just simply the makeup that you're putting on your skin will cause a tremendous amount of stress in the body. So if you're sitting there and you're not dealing with stress and you're neglecting sleep and you're putting toxicities in your body and you're hustling and you're pushing, well, what's going to happen? Boom, right? Problems in one way or another.
Right. For sure. It's so true. And that's something that I actually didn't even start learning about, how stress and anxiety affected things until 2 or 3 years ago. Like before it was just like, I just need energy, like I just felt so sluggish. And as an entrepreneur, I was like, go, 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 and I was just slowing down and I felt my energy depleting quickly. And so for me, it started with that. And I didn't even realize until several years ago, as I started interviewing people, as I really started learning more and talked to different doctors, just because I was curious, about it. And my sister-in-law is actually a functional medicine practitioner. And we would just start talking about things. And I was like, what? I'm like, I didn't even know that, where stress is literally causing disease in your body, and like what happens and what it does, and just tension. And those are things a lot of people just don't connect, And so it's really been so interesting to have awareness of that, and if you're watching this and you're like, wait, what? Like I would strongly urge you to ask more questions. Don't ask me. I'm not the expert. You can ask Sherry. And you guys can, shoot a message, but it is wild. Like how many things that we might not put together, how the lives that we lead and the things that we're doing, how it's impacting our health beyond. Like you could eat super healthy, and you're still like with stress and anxiety and like just destroying your body. And you're like, what? I'm eating right. Like, why do I feel like this? So there's different, aspects of it. And I think that's so interesting. And so I know for you with your programs and things that you teach, there's 6 different areas you really focus on to really see shift. I'd love for you to speak a little about that and those different factors and how they influence.
Absolutely. And just to touch on what you just said, you said, I'm eating properly, but I don't understand, like, why am I low energy? Why am I gaining weight? Why? And what people don't realize is that if they're dealing with leaky gut, which is a topic we do cover in our course, most of the population of North America, a good 85%, is considered that they're on the high likelihood of suffering from leaky gut. And aside from the chemicals and the processed foods and the way how we eat and so on that causes leaky gut, stress causes leaky gut for sure. And that is basically rips and tears and holes that happen within your intestines. So even if you're having this salad and you're like, well, I'm eating healthy, your body is not properly absorbing these nutrients because that you're suffering from leaky gut. So, we cover fasting first, and that's not a scary F word. Okay. We basically do fasting to teach you, look, there's a distance of time between your meals, and you need to be very intentional about when you eat and when you don't eat. That's the first step. And then, yes, there's a fair amount of benefit when it comes from either doing a 24 intermittent fast or a 3-day, longer fast that will help you to cleanse and detoxify the body naturally. But we let our clients choose for them what's appropriate for them and their lifestyle. The magic part of what we do is we don't push any agenda at you. We're not paleo or you have to be vegan or, buy these shakes. Everything that we do is teaching you, look, it's basic. There's natural whole foods that grow from the ground. There are good, healthy, quality meats that you can find. Find out which one of these 2 things you can eat and decide when you can eat them. And it really can be that basic. It's just complicated because we've been embedded, our brains have been fixated since the time we were born on boxed cereal, on breads, on granola bars, on a snack, on grabbing something on the go. We were never part of the generation where you had to spend, 12 hours in a field, gathering your food and changing your food within communities. We were never without a time where there wasn't processed food available like that. So we teach you about fasting and we teach you about cleansing and detoxifying the body first so that we can basically put you through the Betty Ford clinic, right? We need to cleanse your body of those addictive foods, those chemicals, those sugars, the vegetable oils. Then once we kind of get you cleaned up, now we can assess what is the inflammation. So what may cause you inflammation may not cause me inflammation and vice versa. So you might eat a tomato and feel like you're eating healthy, but your body doesn't respond well, right, to tomatoes, to a nightshade, versus maybe I can eat broccoli and there's no issue, but you can't. So a lot of people eat, red peppers, green peppers, and so on, but they realize later it's the lectins in the peppers that are actually causing them inflammation. So there is definitely a process to find out, can you eat dairy or not? Are you tolerant to this or not? Are you gluten intolerant? That's a huge buzzword today where people just automatically go and grab, a gluten-free product, but that may or may not matter, right? It's 100% what's in the products. What are the chemicals, the preservatives? You have to eat as clean as possible. So in the 3rd week, we do talk about gut health, leaky gut. What is it? How to nourish with prebiotics, how to restore with probiotics. We talk about stress management and the physiological responses to stress in the body so that people really understand that if you don't go outside and actually get sunlight on your face, serotonin's not going to be produced as efficiently in your body. And serotonin is the happy, feel-good hormone that's actually going to make you enjoy your day, right? So you need serotonin, you need the vitamin D, you need the sunlight on the skin at least 20 minutes a day, amongst many other things of taking time in your day to tap into that parasympathetic nervous system. We talked before about balance. There is no balance unless you are sometimes in the fight or flight, but also sometimes in the rest and digest. And the problem with our society today is you are looked upon as some pansy weakling, loser, if you're taking any kind of time whatsoever to slow down, right? So we do that. We teach you about mastering your sleep. We teach you about the science of sleep, so you really understand why your body needs sleep so badly, and know it can't be sacrificed, and know it's not something you hustle over or push aside. And finally, we talk about how your body naturally wants to survive. It's there to protect you, and it's its only mission. So it wants to detoxify. It's got all the tools to do it all by itself. So you don't need these gimmicks or shakes or supplements or any kind of nonsense. You just need to understand how your body works and give your body that opportunity and process to clean and detoxify by itself.
That's awesome. That's exciting. And I want to do it. I've been learning about all that. I'm always learning about this stuff through my sister, through things I love it. And I think it's really incredible as we just really get to know. I feel like a lot of people don't think about these things until there's a really big issue, right? And then all of a sudden you're forced to think about it. It's in your face. You're dealing with you're losing, my dad was losing his eyesight with diabetes, and so we all went plant-based to support him and did a challenge, which half my family stayed completely vegan, some are vegetarian, and I would say I'm flexitarian, and eat very clean, but eat most things, just very clean versions of things. And I think it's so wild that it takes you getting to a place, and that's most people that I know, where all of a sudden there's a risk, right? There's some kind of a health risk where we actually start learning about this, where there's so much preventative maintenance we can be doing and so much more vibrancy we can be having. And again, I love what the 30-day, this, not that, and teaching that, because again, like I said in the beginning, it was so powerful, for me. And I always love even learning new things of that. My brother's always posting oh, here's a better seasoning, or here's a better this. And, they're always looking at things in our family group, just because, again, that's become a big focus because of my father and my grandfather's health. And then all us kids are all right, let's just do the right things now. Let's not wait till we get there, so that we can really have, more life and even just, again, more energy to our days. Right. So,
you hit the nail. For the men and the car enthusiasts, I'm imagine having your 2017 Camaro SS, right? You love your car like crazy, and you sit and you admire it, and you're shining the hood and the mags all the time. So imagine just leaving that out in the field to rest, right? Could you imagine trying to restore that after? Why would you even want to go through that process? So you hit the nail on the head when you said it's really about mastering that lifestyle, because we're so programmed to grab this box off the shelf or go to that restaurant because that's our habits. And people think that it has to be oh, I got to change everything, and I have to deprive myself, and I'm not allowed to do this anymore. And one of the powerful things that we teach is look, this is about creating a beautiful relationship with food. It's about falling in love with food, and you're doing things from a place of education. And all of a sudden you've created a standard, and the standard is really important to you. Kind of like when you decided long ago, you know what? I'm not going to rob a bank, because as much as I would love to have the $100,000 of robbing the bank, the consequence of going to jail isn't worth it. Right? So what we teach is like, look, I know you want the Doritos, but the neurodisruptive chemicals that are like really going to give you Alzheimer's in 20 years is not worth that consequence. So you find that healthy alternative that tastes almost as good, probably even better, and you just switch from this to that.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. I love it. So Sherry, where can people find you? Because I hope that, through listening to this, some of you guys are inspired. I know for myself, I'm like, oh man, can I start? I know there's a challenge starting next week. And you have things going on to just start learning about these things. And, can we go into the new year as our best selves already, like already having awareness, already creating habits, and really treating ourselves the right way as we launch out 2020 versus waiting to start then. So if you could share, I know you have your challenge and just any ways that people can get in contact. And for anyone who's on my mailing list, you guys are going to get an email with this recording and get information there as well.
Sure. Well, I have a podcast, Your Life is Non-Negotiable. You can find that on iTunes and all of the other directories. I have a book. It's called Your Life is Non-Negotiable. You can go ahead and read everything that I teach. And I have a challenge, and it's called, yourhealthisnonnegotiable.com. So if you go there, you'll learn all the things that we do in our challenge. At the bottom of that page, you can schedule an appointment time to chat with me. We really have to find out if this is the best fit for you. So I jump on the phone with you. It's a free call, and we just find out, like, where are you now? What do you want to achieve? Is this a good fit for each other? And we also have an online gym. So it's live. So as you can see here on Zoom, I can see you, you can see me. So all of the classes that we do are live and interactive. We normally have about 30 people in a class, and our instructor comes in and they can see you. They can call you out. They can give you modifications, help you with form. They're waiting for you. So if you've signed up for a class and they're like, where's Sally? So for those of you who need accountability to actually going to the gym, you do this in your living room, and we're there waiting for you with a big smile. So I have a free 10-day trial to that. So if you go to sherrysfitness.com, that'll give you a 10 free trial to our online gym, as well as our Magic Secrets Challenge. It's also free. And there we give you 10 functional medicine strategies and 10 workouts that you can try completely free.
Very cool. Well, and I will get that out. And when this is posted, this will be in the comments, by the way, on YouTube. It'll be on the comments on Facebook as well, the links. So you guys have those easily accessible, just in case you missed that or you're not sure about spelling. We will have that there as well as it'll go out in the email. So thank you again so much, Sherry, for joining us today and just really scratching the surface, but opening, hopefully for many, a whole new world of, whoa, there's some things I should probably learn and wrap my head around so that, again, you're not dealing with this 20, 30, 40 years from now, but that you're really just loving the life you're living and the energy you're having and how you're showing up with friends, family, in your communities, in your businesses, whatever you're doing, because you're showing up as your highest self, because you're taking care of yourself. And I love what you said before of like, your body has served you. Like, how are you serving your body? So let's start thinking about that as we go after it for 2020. So thanks, Sherry.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.